Greetings everyone! Today we will be going to show you the documentation and what we did on our midterm examination. We have selected the thesis presented to the College of Teacher Education and St. Paul University Surigao entitled Level of Stress of Grade 6 Elementary Pupils in Surigao City. And these are the verifications coming from Minitab. Note that digits on red mark represent the correction. The results of Minitab regarding the first table of the level of stress of participants in terms of school have the same amount of mean, but the standard deviation from public, private, and overall average is different. The table shows that students coming from public school have a low level of stress with the following indicators. First is the homework, followed by having long examinations, school fees, having no allowance, attending extracurricular activities, deadlines for submission of requirements, teachers, and teachers who ignored them. On the other hand, students experience high level of stress on some factors like the project, the ambience of the classroom, failing their quiz and exams, and talkativeness of their classmates. While students coming from private school have a low level of stress in terms of ambience of school, the school fees, having no allowance, attending extracurricular activities, teachers, teachers who ignored them, and talkativeness of their classmates and the class schedule. However, they experience high level of stress when it comes to the following indicators: the homework, the projects, failing quizzes and exams, long examinations and quizzes, and lastly, the deadlines for submission of requirements. It is concluded that pupils from both public and private schools have a very low level of stress in terms of their teachers. According to CORE 2000, it was explained that teachers, regardless of any subject area, have a moral role to play in education. It is a teacher's duty to be socially acceptable by keeping themselves morally upright. Hence, it can be concluded that pupils in public and private schools have teachers that are morally upright and caring towards their pupils. That is why pupils have a very low stress towards them.
This is the second table entitled The Levels of Stress of the Participants in Terms of Family, including its original statistical data, analysis, and conclusions. And these are the verifications coming from Minitab. Note that digits on red mark represent the correction. The results of Minitab regarding the second table of the level of stress of the participants in terms of family have the same amount of mean, but the standard deviation from the public, private, and overall average is different. The table shows that pupils in public school have a low level of stress in the following indicators: not having food to eat, staying with their relatives, parents that have high expectations for them, house far from school, taking care of siblings, parents that is always at work, parents who don't have time for them, not getting what they want, parents that criticize them in front of people, parents compare them with other people, parents are nagger, and household chores. Thus, the remaining indicators not mentioned earlier causes the pupils from public school to have a high level of stress. On the other hand, pupils coming from private and school have a low level of stress in terms of seeing parents fight, parents don't have money, staying with their relatives, house far from school, taking care of sibling, parents always at work, not getting what they want, parents compare them with siblings, parents are nagger, and household chores. Thus, the remaining indicator not mentioned causes the pupils from private school to have a high level of stress. The result shows that the stress level in family of the participants in public and private varies in different indicators. This suggests that the school administrators should conduct counseling among the pupils and their parents and consider resolving those indicators that the pupils have a high level of stress. According to Springs 2014, explained that whether it is an expected illness, financial difficulties, or argument over anything, it's inevitable that each family will face stress together. Families who are prepared for these trying times emerge stronger and more prepared for future problems. This is the third table entitled The Levels of Stress of the Participants in Terms of Media, including its original statistical data, analysis, and conclusions. And these are the verifications coming from Minitab. Note that digits on red mark represents the correction. The results of Minitab regarding the third table of the level of stress of the participants in terms of peers have the same amount of mean, but the standard deviation from the public, private, and overall average is different. The table shows that pupils in both public and private schools have a low level of stress on the following indicators: become afraid on what they see on movies might happen to them, bullying them on social networks, they could not log in on their social media account, in private using computer for a long period of time. Thus, the indicators not mentioned above causes pupils from both public and private school to have a high level of stress. This result shows that the stress level in media of the participants in public and private school varies on different indicators. This suggests that school administration should give them media symposium among pupils. According to Kuz 2009, explained that one possible cause of the exposure and the environment dangers is the increased access to media by children. Exposure to television, worldwide web, radio, games, and cell phone technology have contributes in breaking down the barriers in protecting today's children from the daily events of the world.
This is the fourth table entitled The Level of Stress of Participants in Terms of Peers, including its original statistical data, analysis, and conclusions. And these are the verifications coming from Minitab. Note that digits on red mark represent the correction. The results of Minitab regarding the third table of the level of stress of the participants in terms of peers have the same amount of mean, but the standard deviation from the public, private, and overall average is different. The table above shows that pupils from both public and private schools have a low level of stress on the following indicators. Friends wants them to do something they do not like, when they are scolded by friends, when trying to fit in with other people, and when people around them does not care about their problems. On the contrary, both pupils from public and private schools have a high level when fighting with friends and when their classmates make them feel that they do not like them. This result shows that the stress level in peers of participants in public and private schools varies in different indicators. This suggests that teachers should always remind each pupil what will be consequences of their actions so that misunderstanding among pupils will be avoided. This is the last table entitled Summary Tables of Factors of Stress, including its original statistical data. These are the verifications coming from Minitab. Note that digits on red mark represent the correction. The results of Minitab regarding the summary tables of factors of stress have the same amount of mean, but the standard deviation from the public, private, and overall average is different. It was shown from the table above that the pupils in both public and private schools have a low level of stress. It is concluded that both public and private schools have a low level of stress. In every school, there is a different range of stress. There are situations that are not always stressful for all the children, and all children do not undergo the same feeling or putting thought when stressed, according to Cohort 2013. Hence, the pupils in public and private school have different amount of stress. It depends on the pupil's situation and environment and how they cope up with them.